Hey, what's up, guys? Weather Geek here, bringing you guys another weather update. And before we get into anything, I want to say thank you all for leaving your comments or your likes on my videos. Just like, the whole purpose of this channel is kind of to just convey weather information, what I'm seeing, possibly what happened in the past, what's going to happen in the future, just stuff to expand my Twitter thoughts. It just gives you a great thing to watch, if you're just laying in bed wondering about the weather, about my thoughts about certain things. And the other thing is, if you've been wondering why my audio sounds a lot better, it's because my friend lent me a mic and it's way better. I want to say thanks to him. Really helps me out, and it helps the sensitivity. And the reason why I've been changing locations of videotaping is because circumstances. I had people mowing outside because it's absolutely beautiful outside and it's just really loud, so being down in the basement of my home really limits the sound. And so yeah, thanks to leaving all your comments, likes, and thanks to my friend for lending me the mic. And let's dive into today's weather. So right now it is absolutely beautiful outside. It's about low to mid 60s across central Illinois, and it's like close to the 40s around Chicago, 48 degrees in O'Hare with a 33-degree dew point, and down here it's just beautiful, 60 degrees, 33-degree dew point. If you want to go outside and run, go outside and mow, it's a perfect day to do it. There's a reason why people are mowing, and I don't know what this is. It's probably a false report of rain down southeast of here. But yeah, before we talk about like the future, what we see, let's talk about what happened a few days ago with the severe weather event. If we look at the storm reports that happened back on March 28, 2020, that was the severe weather event. You can see there were tornado reports. These were fairly weak tornadoes that spawned. There were some multi-vortex tornadoes. I think people videotaped there in Iowa, and there were some weak tornadoes. There's one actually, a report in Peoria, Illinois, which is, kind of close to home here. But for the most part, there was basically a line of storms that formed, and they mostly went linear, and they actually weakened as they head east. But there was one storm that spawned a couple tornado reports. There were actually power flashes in Peoria, and the tornado lifted before it got to the city, which is great news. The downtown. And there were some more tornado reports. There's one over near Rockford. That was one I was tracking because there was really strong rotation with that cell. But luckily it weakened as it got to the Rockford area. It only takes one storm, and if it gets into a big metropolitan area or big city, like big town like Rockford, and it can cause a lot of damage and possibly cost lives. So we were fortunate that it didn't really spawn into like a big bad tornado. But you look at this, and there were actually some tornado reports in northeast Arkansas, and there was actually a pretty strong tornado, EF3, that happened in Jonesboro. And I saw that form, and it was absolutely unbelievable. It just formed like that. You just saw like a little tiny rope, and it just turned like a big, wedge tornado, rated EF3, as I said before. Now let's talk about like why the storm struggled. Why didn't we have a big time tornado outbreak or severe outbreak that we were kind of anticipating? And you look at the Lincoln sounding, 0Z, which was, the evening of all the severe weather. And you can see right here, I'm going to turn on so I can edit here to show you what's going on here. And you can see that you have very, very low level moisture. It's very dry up here. And the HER was showing like 70-degree dew points getting up in here, 66-degree dew points, which it might not sound like a big change, but it actually really is. And you can see that the low level lapse rates right here are pretty darn marginal. And that has to do with because we didn't get a lot of solar heating. And one of the biggest problems with the severe weather event was because we had so much cloud debris from elevated convection. It was just all over the place in the central Illinois. And what that happens is that the sun, when it heats the ground, it'll heat the air around it. It'll heat the air down the boundary layer, And so what happens is that if you heat the boundary layer, and you have the cooler air, basically you have the cooler air above, you have the warmer air down. That's pretty darn steep low-level and mid-level lapse rates. The storms, when they just heat up, when it gets a peak heating, they just take off. But here you can see marginal low-level lapse rates. And you can see this inversion right here. Weather inversions, they limit vertical motion. That's what they do. And if we lift an air parcel, so we're going to go on the dry adiabat right there. That's just a rough estimate, and we have this mixing ratio. And if you were to lift the moist adiabatically, which they don't really have this on here, but you can see the kind of parcel curve right here. So we're going to kind of just generally just draw it right here. Something like this. Pretty bad drawing, I'm going to have to say. But what you can see here is we have sin, as we call it, which is convective inhibition. And it's on the other side of the area curve. So you have positive, which is CAPE, which is what thunderstorms feed off of, convective available potential energy. On the opposite spectrum, you have sin, which acts to inhibit. And if you have negative 65 sin, that's pretty darn strong sin. This all goes back to because we didn't have enough solar heating. We weren't able to really heat this up, and therefore we weren't able to heat this layer up, and we weren't able to kind of do something like this. And then the storms just take off. We weren't able to do that. Just too much sin, not enough solar heating. But I mean, there's no problem with shear. I mean, absolutely just crazy amounts of shear. I mean, you had 15 knots low level. You just go up here, you're getting way up above 60 knots, and you keep going above. It just keeps getting stronger, stronger, and stronger. And the supercell STP, you had some pretty. You had supercell 17.2. It was pretty favorable. It's just we had too much sin, and we had not enough moisture. We didn't have enough deep layer moisture around. And I mean, the holograph you just see right here. It's no problem with that. I mean, there's no problem with shear or anything like that. It's just the instability. We had too much sin. We weren't able to really. This inversion right here is really what killed it. The severe weather chances. That's why storms struggled, really. So, I mean, it can come down to one thing that happens. I mean, these severe weather setups, if you want to get an outbreak, things have to happen perfectly. If you want a big severe weather outbreak, everything has to match perfectly. The instability, you can't have an inversion. You got to have big-time sunshine. Now, there are some times where there are severe weather outbreaks that happen in relatively kind of not the sunniest environments, but this is March we're talking about here. You have March, you have but these are really, really high dew points, for March, but everything has to go perfectly in March to get a big severe weather outbreak and tornado outbreak. We don't have like crazy amounts of CAPE. We only have about 1651 joules per kilogram of CAPE, which in later months like May, June, we might get up to 3,000. Even the HER was showing like 3,000 plus joules per kilogram, and that was just half of it. So that's another thing that it just got wrong. We did have fairly low LCLs right here, which was advertised, but I mean the storms just struggled. Just too much cloud debris. But yeah, that's really what I'm going to talk about. It just comes down to ingredients. You have your shear. Do you have your instability? Do you have sin? If your sin's too much, that's too much of a cap. And I mean, I got about a few drops of rain. The storm's really weakened as it got to me. But there were wind reports across Tennessee. Thank goodness there wasn't a tornado that spawned around here, around Nashville, because they've been through enough. We've gotten hail reports. There was actually like golf ball size hail down here. And yeah, the hail, it was pretty big in some of the areas. Jefferson City, I think the day before, got like golf ball 3-inch diameter hail. Golf ball, baseball size hail. But as we move into what's going to be happening for our future, right now it's pretty nice outside. You do have some clouds over here. That's keeping temperatures down. But here you see like the next weather system's coming in with higher level clouds moving into our area. This system will be passing to our south. And if we look at like overall the future, this is about a 15-day ensemble mean. Basically, in the European, there are 51 different members. They all show their initial conditions are tweaked a little bit, and you get different solutions. If we were to get all those members and just turn them into a mean of precipitation anomaly compared to average, what will we get? You see, like down south, they're going to get pretty crushed with a lot of rain, and they've gone a lot of rain over the winter. They don't need any more rain. You can see that over here we're kind of heading towards a drier than normal, but that doesn't mean no rain. That hardly ever means no rain unless you're like in a big drought year. Then it's just crazy anomalies. But if we look at, I'm just going to do this just to show you we really don't have much rain 6 days out. I mean, we do get a weather system that comes in here, but overall, hopefully it works. But I think that as we head in time, we will transition into a more stormy pattern as we head into mid-April. And if we look at the European ensemble, like height field, you can see that generally, there's a trough over here, but generally the subtropical jet is very active, which is applying a lot of moisture. Mainly north of it, you're just pretty dry. But you have a trough coming to the west, and if you get a trough ridge setup that here what you're advertising, you're going to be talking about more precipitation chances and more storm chances. It's just the fact that you have a trough, and this is a 10-day plus. This is combining all the members, and you can see there's a trough signal right here, and you have the lee side of the trough downstream of it, and you have low pressure development possibly forming, and you can get fronts, precipitation, storms. We don't know exactly, but it looks pretty stormy around here. If we look at the precipitation, let's see, over the next, let's say, 7-day anomaly. So this is taking from different intervals. But you can see, let's say, 15 days out, and you can see that we're starting to turn back green here. So generally, very little precipitation chances for the next 5-6 days. But then what happens is that we start getting that trough signal back into here, and we start getting increased precipitation chances. Overall, the 15-day anomaly is drier than average, but there's no shut-off precipitation chances. That's why I'm not really seeing that. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope you guys enjoyed my insight. And make sure, if you haven't already, subscribe to this channel. Continue liking my videos. Comment if you have a question on anything or just want to say something nice. I will like them and I will comment. And hopefully you guys also follow my Twitter. If you haven't, please go there. I'll retweet stuff, and especially in this time, I'm definitely I'm much more active on my phone. But I hope you guys have been taking advantage, of this time to be with your families. And also get out and exercise. Go out if you can't. If you don't have a home gym, then go out and jog if you can. Go out and jog. Do something. Just make yourself, give yourself the best mental approach to this that you can, because it is not easy being stuck at home a lot of the time, And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure you subscribe again, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.